Welcome everyone back to a brand new episode of KnightTime. This week we will be discussing UCF men's and women's basketball, the results of the cheer and dance team's nationals, and of course finish off with our primetime picks of the week. My name is Taylor Anderson and KnightTime starts now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Welcome back to another episode of KnightTime, ladies and gentlemen. I, as always, am joined with the lovely Taylor Anderson, and we have a special guest, Terry Gilliam Jr. Taylor, how are we doing today?
I'm doing so good. I'm so excited to have Terry on today. Terry, how excited are you?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We love having you on. Hey, the more guests, the better on this show. And I can't wait to dive into what we have going on today. Taylor, lead us off.
So even though football season is officially over, UCF keeps booming through with all these new Knights coming in. Recently, Kobe Hudson from Auburn announced that he will be transferring from Auburn to come over and play under Gus. As a sophomore at Auburn, Hudson led the Tigers with 44 receptions, had 580 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. I think that he will be a consistent receiver for whoever wins the quarterback battle this season. In 6 of his 12 games at Auburn, he caught at least 4 passes. So with him, Robinson, and O'Keefe, the quarterback will have options, which is really good. Another player that UCF just recently landed is former UF Kamor Campbell tight end, who will be coming to play for the Knights as well. In his most recent season, Campbell had 31 receptions for 414 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a very versatile player and as a bigger tight end, he can also move around and tackle next to the O-line when he needs to. There's a lot of SEC coming over, guys, so I guess it just doesn't mean more for these players anymore. Terry, what do you think about these guys coming in?
Well, I think Hudson is a great pickup. I think the chemistry between him and Malzahn is going to click really well for the upcoming season. Kobe Hudson played really well in the Iron Bowl against the University of Alabama. He scored the Tigers' first touchdown. So I think it's a really great pickup. And Gamble, he's going to be a great pickup. He's got the best size, I think, for a college football tight end. He had 414 yards for the Gators. He didn't do so much against UCF in the Gasparilla Bowl, but hopefully he comes here and he does really well.
Well, I think what it comes down to is you see all these teams that are coming from the SEC, they don't want to be the 4th or 5th best team anymore. They want to go to a team that's going to be able to compete for a conference title. We know Auburn's not doing it this next year. We know Florida's not doing it this next year. And as we see, Gus definitely had an impact on some of these players. As we got Kobe Hudson coming over, it sounds like he's going to be a reliable number 2 or 3 receiver. We got Ryan O'Keefe coming back. We got Jay Flash coming back. Now, what it sounds like, we got another tight end coming too. I mean, they're just building up the offense. We know Gus is going to have his defense ready to go. Now we got weapons for whoever the quarterback shall be.
I want to ask Terry, because he has quarterback experience. You watched this last season for UCF. What do you think Mikey Keene or whoever wins the quarterback battle really needs from these transfers coming in? Do you need speed, versatility? What would you look for?
Honestly, I think Mikey Keene is going to come in and do great. When Dylan Gabriel went down against the Louisville game that next week, Mikey Keene came in and he played really well. Honestly, they just have to get on the same page. This offseason, they just have to really work with each other, work on that timing, because these are new guys he's going to be throwing to, new guys he's going to be working with this season. So it's really just a chemistry thing. I think they got all the intangibles to be a good football team this next fall. I think they just have to stick together and just start practicing more with each other.
I agree. I think we're doing really good in the offseason, so I'm excited to see what next season will bring. But from football to basketball, even though it hurts to talk about, since our last show, the Knights men's basketball team were defeated in the war on I-4 against the USF Bulls 75-51. The Bulls out-rebounded and outshot the Knights all game long. Even though they were down by just 9 at halftime, they did not use that to their advantage and only continued to play worse. Star guard Darren Green Jr. did not perform to his usual capability. He was 1 of 8 from the field and scored only 3 points. They have a lot of talent, but I hate when teams play down to whoever they're playing, and it looks like they're not trying. And that is the exact type of feeling that I am getting from the Knights team this season. Camden, I know you have a passionate feeling about this team. What about it?
I don't even know where to start. This team is so wildly inconsistent. I mean, I think Tyler said it best last week. This team goes to lose to USF, who is an awful team at basketball right now. And then East Carolina, who's playing really well, they beat them. Now, luckily, they were down by 16. They came back. They did win that game. So that was a great performance by the Knights. But it's just so frustrating that UCF comes out here, almost beats Oklahoma at home, beats Michigan at home. They beat Memphis with a great Amani Bates, but they can't beat USF. I don't get it. I don't get it. Terry, what have you seen from this basketball team so far?
Right, Camden. I looked at the highlights. I watched the game, actually, and the thing is, it's a rivalry game. When you're playing in a big rivalry game down the street from each other, the tensions are rising, the emotions are higher than usual. So, yeah, you can come in and beat a bigger team that you think as a fan, but as a player, you're going to want to play hard because it's your rival. USF out-rebound UCF, and that's the fundamental part of the game. You have to be able to crash the boards and get offensive rebounds. They out-rebound UCF, and I think that's what set them apart, and that's why USF won.
Well, you're absolutely right. Offensive rebounding in college basketball definitely means a lot. And that wasn't the only thing that USF beat UCF at this week, was it, Taylor?
I don't want to talk about it just yet. We'll get to it. I'm really upset. Cheer and dance. It hurts my heart a little bit. But UCF did do a lot better against ECU. On a lighter note for this team, they did come away with a win over the Pirates Tuesday night with a 20-point comeback for a final score of 92-85. This is the type of fight that this team can put up and should have demonstrated during their game against USF. Darius Johnson came off the bench and put up a career high of 16 points for the Knights. He was 4 of 6 from deep, and the overall total from the team from the arc was 15 of 30. He really got the momentum going for this team, and the rebounding actually improved from their previous game. It was for sure a team effort, as the passing ability of this team was phenomenal, and 8 Knights produced at least 1 assist. Terry, how do you think that the loss against USF really combated for them to come back against ECU?
Honestly, I think it's still early in the season. You know, one loss doesn't define a team. I think if they go out there, they work on their fundamentals, they get their offensive rebounds, their second chance shots, they make their free throws, and they don't foul too much, they'll be in good shape.
Well, yeah, you're right. They don't want to get into foul trouble. It's not that good to lose these games. We're getting late in January. We're getting close to February, and then you know what that means. We got March Madness coming up real soon. We got the tournaments coming up. We got the conference championships. I can't wait for what college basketball has.
I'm really excited for March Madness coming up. I'm sure we're going to have a bracket here at Hitting the Field, so look forward to that. But I want to give a big shout out to a UCF team that we're going to be touching on, I believe, for the rest of the season. Even though the men might be struggling, the UCF women's basketball team is having such a great season so far. They are 12-2 on the season, and even though their game last night against SMU was postponed, they played a great game against number 24 USF, unlike their brother team, and came out on top. They are leading the AAC, are 4-0 in the conference, and are catching the eyes of AP poll voters. They took off with an early lead and kept up the fight all game long. 3 Knights finished with double figures, and star player Diamond Battles led with 19 points, shot 50% from the field, and was 3 of 4 from deep. Tay Sanders added 18 points and was named ACC Player for the Week for her performance. Their only 2 losses this season were only by 8 points each, so this team is really taking off. I'm really excited to see what they do. Terry, what do you think about the girls?
The girls basketball team, that's really close to my heart. I was able to cover women's basketball for the Orlando Sentinel a couple of months ago, and I was able to interview Coach Abe. And the thing is, with their success, Coach Abe knows how to recruit talent. She knows how to bring in players, put them in the right position so they can win. I think when she brings in talent, her recruiting style, players want to come play for her, and I think that's why the women's basketball team is on the run that they're in now. So.
Well, you're right. They are playing great. They've won 11 of their last 12, so keep your eyes on that Knights basketball team. The women's are playing great. Their only losses are to number 5 Tennessee into a good Iowa team who was ranked earlier in the year in the top 15. So those are some close and good losses. I don't get why they're not ranked yet after they won 11 out of 12.
I know it's no secret that men's games tend to have a bigger turnout than women's, but they're having a better season and are just doing better overall. Camden, I'm going to ask you, what should fans expect when going to these games? We need to get more fans to the women's games. What should we do?
Well, I mean, honestly, you know, I feel like they advertise the men's games more. Like, it's harder to find these highlights of, like, the women's basketball games, which is unfortunate because they're playing great basketball. I mean, I just told you they've won 11 of 12. Why would you not want to go watch this team play? Like, they're playing great. I'm not sure what they need to do to keep advertising it, but honestly, the women's team is just as exciting as the men's team right now, and the men's team is playing pretty good.
Terry, what about you? What do you think we should do?
That's just the way the ball rolls. I think in the future it'll get better as far as watching men's basketball, watching women's basketball, but women's, they're doing their thing. All they got to do is keep doing their thing. They'll be ranked pretty soon, and sooner or later, the more wins they have, they're going to put their foot in the door to be that team to beat.
So I may not have played basketball or football my whole life, but two sports very close to my heart here at UCF had their national competition this past weekend. So before we end this segment, I want to give a huge congrats to the UCF cheer and dance teams for all of their accomplishments at the UCA Cheer and Dance Nationals that took place at ESPN's Wide World of Sports this past weekend. Their cheer team placed 5th overall in the D1A division. They have 3 national titles in this division, but the most recent one being in 2020. This was the 23rd time the Knights placed in the top 5. The dance team placed 7th overall for their best all-time finish in their category. This was also the first time they reached finals in their hip-hop division since 2014. What do you guys have to say about these two teams?
Hey, congratulations to the cheer team. I mean, you were telling me about it earlier today, and I mean, it's interesting to listen about how that worked, how they got it tougher. Like, what they do is tougher than the other teams, and I just think it's unfortunate they were in first after the first day, and they dropped all the way down to 5th. But still, congratulations to everyone on that cheer and dance team.
Yeah, congratulations. I think that was really nice of them. Cheer and dance is a very highly competitive sport, so it really looks good that they placed 5th. They should be proud.
So proud of them. Already can't wait for next year and all the accomplishments that they will do all over again. That's all the time we have for this segment right now, so stay tuned to recap our primetime picks from last week.
Giants. Why? Because I am a New York Giants fan and I want my first pick of the week to be my team. I see an upset for the New York Giants this Sunday. Bet your entire savings, and I'm telling you right now, they're gonna win. I don't care what you say. It's gonna happen.
I have to go with the Raiders, I think, for this one. I don't see them losing.
Welcome back. It is now time for our primetime picks of the week, the best segment. I'm currently doing awful, standing at 16-10, Oklahoma State and Texas. I'm going Texas 35-27.
All right, Jeff, don't tell me your winner, but who is going to the Super Bowl?
The New England Patriots.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
God.
The
Oh
NFL is
my
gonna
God.
the NFL is gonna make it happen.
Welcome back. So for this segment, we want to go over our primetime pick games from last week. Camden is starting off 3-0, and I, of course, will never be able to start these off with a perfect record. I'm at 2-1, not bad. Our first game is number 18, Kentucky defeating number 22, Tennessee. The Wildcats had a near perfect offense during this game, and Ty Washington scored a career high of 28 points. Kentucky shot 61% from the field for the game and made 38 field goals. Wheeler was back from an injury and added 21 points to Kentucky's score. Kentucky had arguably their most energetic game of this whole season in front of their biggest crowd in a while. So Calipari said that Tennessee stretching out their defense, it almost worked in Kentucky's favor since they are a drive and shoot type of team. Washington showed out again and finished 10 of 13 from the field, and all but one player shot 50% or better against the Vols. Terry, how was this game? What are your takeaways from it?
Kentucky, a big blue nation. They're ranked number 12 in the nation. They made 69.2% of their free throws, and that's what set them apart against the Aggies. And I think they're the team to beat in the SEC for basketball. They've been like that since I've been a little kid, so it's looking good for Tennessee and John Calipari's team.
Well, I think you're right. Kentucky has always been like that team we've looked at. You know, they had that great year with like Anthony Davis back in like 2011. And I want to throw this little jab at there first. You know, if you would have maybe not chosen Tyler's picks, we could have had the same record.
Okay.
You know, I gotta
Tyler.
celebrate.
Thank
I gotta
you.
celebrate since I'm up, because I feel like after this week it's not gonna happen. But Kentucky moved all the way up to number 12. They got a big game this week against Auburn. They played great. I believe they shot 60% from 3 as well. And if you're shooting 6 for 10 from threes, oh yeah, it's gonna be a tough night for the other team. They also forced Tennessee into 20 turnovers, and that right there is a big stat.
So, I mean, at least I got that one right. We'll get to my bad ones later on. But yeah, thank you, Tyler. I really appreciate it. I need basketball help, and you let me down. I'm sorry. But despite having recent struggles at home, Baylor is continuing to defeat their opponents on the road. Baylor came out on top over the West Virginia Mountaineers 77-68. Both Cryer and Mayer set career highs and were able to help Baylor snap a 2-game losing streak. They lost the number 1 spot after losing 2 home games, but the defending national champions have now won 13 straight away games. In only his second start of the season, Cryer scored 25 points in place of an injured James Akinjo, who was out with a bruised tailbone. Mayer also came up big with 20 points and 4 steals. The two Bears were able to combine and hit 10 of 17 three-pointers. In the final 12 minutes of the game, they combined for 18 points. Mayer even said that Morgantown is one of his favorite places to play since he has statistically some of his best games there. So it's safe to say the Mountaineer defense cannot stop him. So even though Baylor has some players out, they still had a solid offensive effort while West Virginia missed several key plays that could have led them to come out on top. Camden, what do you have to say about this Bear team really taking a hold of the road?
Well, I like that you started with the 2 games that you won, so we can get those out of the way. But
I did on purpose.
I know, okay. Also, West Virginia only shot like 39% from the floor, so they did not shoot well. Baylor didn't really shoot well either. It would seem like a really defensive game, but I don't know, just Baylor coming off back-to-back losses, it seemed like this was the game that they had to win in order to get back on track. They were the number 1 team. They looked unbeatable until that Texas Tech game, and then, of course, that other game that they lost. But this one was a big win for them against the Mountaineers.
Terry, what about this game stood out for you?
Yeah, it was a must-win for Baylor. They're ranked number 5 in the nation, so they're coming off of a former championship run last season. I thought personally that West Virginia was going to come in and upset them because they went on a 12-0 run in the middle of the games, and they came out hot. They were hitting threes, even though they were missing a few shots, but they came out, they were making their shots in the beginning. I thought they had a good chance to win, but they just didn't pull it out.
Very true. All right, Camden, are you ready?
Let's
It's time
do this
for me
next
to talk
game.
about a losing game.
Honestly, this was a really good game. All
It
right?
was.
So it's nothing against the teams that played. You know, I'm a
was.
big Big Ten fan, and this game was amazing to watch. But go ahead, Taylor, you could start.
I'll get to the point where I kind of won a little bit. I should have like a half point.
That's a moral victory.
Yeah, you're right. In this first meeting between the 2 Big Ten neighbors, some of the biggest guys in college basketball right now faced off. In a double OT, Purdue defeated Illinois 96-88. Purdue has won 3 straight games on the road against ranked teams. Last year, dating back Michigan State, Ohio State, and Illinois, Purdue's big 3, Zach Edey, Jaden Ivey, and Travion Williams accounted for 53 points, 23 rebounds, and 8 assists. This was the first time Andre Carballo played since November 2021 after suffering a concussion. And his return, Carballo had a career high of 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. I think with him back in the lineup, Illinois will be a great contender in the Big Ten. But Purdue still managed to come out on top of this one. Purdue generally controlled the whole game, but obviously Illinois contested enough for the game to go into 2 OTs. Boilermakers are 3-1 this season against AP top 25 opponents, while Illinois is 0-2 against ranked teams. The Boilermakers have won 7 of their last 8 since an upset loss at Rutgers. So technically, I won the first 2 games that were played in a tie, but ended up losing.
Didn't lose the right pick.
Yeah, it's fine.
All
So,
right.
Terry, what do you think about this double OT game?
Well, the double OT, it goes down to the wire. Those are the best games to watch. Purdue is ranked number 5 in the nation. They're ranked number 4 in the nation. So this was a must-win for Purdue. Illinois, they fought pretty hard. They just couldn't fight hard enough to get the win, and Purdue held off.
No, you're right. Purdue was up big. And I'll tell you, do you want to know why they were up? Because Kofi Coburn had 4 fouls within about the first 4 minutes of the second half. He didn't play majority of that second half, which is most of the reason why Purdue was up. But then they brought him back in. They came back. They forced it to overtime thanks to, I believe his name is Alfonso Plummer. That dude was amazing. He hit 6 for 12 from threes, 50% from 3. Are you kidding me? But what do y'all know about Sasha Stefanovic? That dude dropped 22. That dude was ice cold from 3, and he hit some big shots down the line to get Purdue that W on the road as an underdog against Illinois.
If you have time, look up what he looks like. You wouldn't really think that he would put up as much as he did. But that's all the time that we have for this segment right now. Terry, thank you so much for being on our first 2 segments. We can't wait to see everything you're going to do with hitting the field. Stay tuned. We have more primetime picks coming up, so we'll be right back.
I'm in charge of the meeting this week. So you know what we're going to talk about? Basketball. The second thing we're going to talk about this week is basketball. Okay? And the third and last thing we're going to talk about is basketball.
God, yeah. It's ridiculous. I want to quit. Can I quit? Take that.
Look at the screen. What are we talking about this week?
Welcome back to the last segment of Nighttime, which is now becoming my favorite segment because we get to take our cracks about what we know about college basketball. And honestly, all these games this week are pretty much pickups, all right? We decided to go through, pick all these close games, and I feel like this week can really turn the tides between us. You could go 5-0, you could go 0-5. We'll see what happens this week.
I think I know where I'll end up. So Michigan State versus Wisconsin. I'm taking the Badgers due to their 6-game win streak. Their defense showed up big against Ohio State, and they will need to do so again against the Spartans. They will also need to limit Michigan State's possessions and slow down the game like they're known to do. Wisconsin is better at keeping a good tempo and ball control, so that's why I'm taking them in this matchup. Camden?
I watched them play a game before they played against Ohio State after they already lost the first time, and I was nervous. That Wisconsin team, ranked like 20-something, was really good, playing like a top 10 team, and I gotta show love to my family out in Wisconsin. They'd be mad at me if I didn't pick them. I'm going with the Badgers after they whooped Ohio State's butt on TV.
Dang, you admitted it.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
All right, now time for another SEC matchup, Kentucky versus Auburn. I'm going to go with Auburn at home. They're ranked number 2 and have a pretty good argument to be the number 1. They're rolling over other SEC teams like LSU, Florida, and Alabama. They have a top 10 defense and a top 15 offense. They've had one of the best freshmen in Jabari Smith, who could be a nightmare matchup for Kentucky's inside. With the Auburn crowd most likely going crazy for their top-ranked team, I think Kentucky will have their hands full, so Auburn Tigers. Camden?
I really want to go at the Auburn Tigers here, ranked number 2 in the country. I remember watching them earlier this year against UCF. They were a little shaky, but again, that was all the way back in like December, November. So they're a different team than they are now. They're playing great basketball, but I'm going with the Kentucky Wildcats. I feel like they're going to win the game. I think that they're the team that's going to make a run. They're on a hot streak right now. Their time is now.
All right, this game right now, we were discussing earlier, we kind of cannot figure out what to do. No. There's really no right answer. There's going to be a right answer at the end of the game, but it's kind of back and forth. But I'm going to take UCLA over Arizona in a close one, but I really think it's going to be a toss-up. UCLA still has a great shot to finish at the #1 spot, but this is a must-win game for them to reach that spot. They are set to travel to Utah and Colorado before this game, so I'm interested to see how they will do on the road. And I think that maybe my mind will change after that, but maybe for right now, I'm going to stick with UCLA. I know you kind of want to argue with me about this one.
A little bit, because here's why. I looked, UCLA has 2 games before this game. They got to go travel and then come back home. I feel like they're going to be a little bit gassed looking for this game. Zona gets to go on the road into UCLA, and, you know, they're the higher-ranked team. I believe they're a little bit of a favorite, a small favorite, but I think Arizona will take this game. It's going to be close. If you're a fan of college basketball, tune in. This is going to be a great game.
I'm excited. We'll see what happens. I really think we both have a good shot. Hopefully I have a better shot. But Kansas and Texas Tech will face off Monday. Texas Tech is arguably the hottest team right now, but I'm going with Kansas. Kansas senior Jabi was named the Big 12 Player of the Week, and I think he will help in this matchup. Last week he posted back-to-back 20-point games and 2 Big 12 victories against Iowa State and West Virginia. He was recently named to the Wooden Award midseason watch list and leads the Big 12 and is 13th in the scoring per game. So for that, I'm going with Kansas. Camden, which one?
Now, I thought I would argue with it on this one, but I'm not gonna. Texas Tech beat this team already. Only a couple days ago, I believe like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. They beat them. Texas Tech beat Kansas, but here we are again. You know it's hard to beat that same team twice. I think Kansas is gonna get one back to them. I got Kansas.
All right, I'm standing with what you said. It really is hard to beat a team 2 times in a row, especially in a span of 2 weeks. It's literally like they know everything about each other right now. So I think that will give Kansas the edge. But UCF and Tulane, I'm obviously going to take UCF over Tulane. I'm hoping that this momentum from the comeback at ECU will really propel them to win this game and not relax down to their level. I think that Tulane, if they lose this game, like honestly, this season really, they need a lot of help. But I have to go with UCF. I'm standing by it. Camden, are you going to stay with them?
This team is so wildly inconsistent. I feel like this is a game that UCF is gonna lose. I mean, they're playing back at home. Wouldn't it just be great if they broke our hearts here back at Edition Arena? I don't think it's gonna happen. I feel like UCF is gonna be able to bounce back. Let's get some consistency going with this team. I feel like if they want to make a push for this tournament and try to win their conference, they got to do it now. They got a couple games. Let's see how they play. Let's just win 3 or 4 in a row. But it starts Saturday against Tulane. Come on, UCF, take us home.
If you want consistency for this season, you really need to pick it up right now. And this is not a game to fall down behind. You can't lose to Tulane at home. Please, for our sanity, just keep up with what you're doing. The women's basketball team, we are so proud of you. We can't wait to see how you guys are going to progress for the rest of the season. UCF cheer and dance, again, once again, congratulations. Yes. UCF men's basketball, we're keeping our hopes high for you guys. Thank you, Terry, so much for your first time on the show. You did phenomenal. We're so excited for the rest of your insights for this season. Camden, thank you again for being the best co-host. It's always so fun with you guys. Camden and Taylor, we're signing off. Stay tuned for next week for a brand new episode of KnightTime.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon'